Sweet.
Sorry. I got an itch.
Are we rolling? You got a crazy itch?
I do. Like,
Do you
all
ever
of a
get a
sudden-
crazy itch and you scratch until like it draws blood or like it breaks the skin?
But the other day I had a crazy itch that's like internal. Do you ever have those?
No.
It's like you feel like something is itching and you scratch it and you're like, it's like inside of me. It's weird. Anyways.
You have an alien. So parasites.
Oh, nope, not me. I did a parasite cleanse. I'm good. I'm all good.
It's Monday and we are here
Cheers.
once again.
Torms.
We're post Halloween. So Christmas has begun. For the
Well,
longest time for me, it was Christmas doesn't start till after Thanksgiving.
yeah, you had a hard roll, but then you've recently become more
Lenient. Flexible. Open-minded.
I was going to stay nostalgic. Like,
Well, I love Christmas decorations. We need to do a Christmas episode, but I love that. I was watching football yesterday, and Target already has their Christmas ads, and
it was like beginning of October, even the Halloween stuff was bare. I remember going like October 1st, and the Halloween stuff was like bare, like picked over, and they had already started putting Christmas stuff out.
Yep. So for those of you who don't know, we have 4 kids, and Christmas time is always the time of stress and buying gifts and all those types of things. And
That would be something interesting to talk about too.
we've got a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So our life is full, and parenting is fun. And sometimes you feel like you're failing, and you feel like you're ruining these children. And then other times you feel like, we're doing an okay job, and we're doing it together. But you've got some great thoughts on parenting, and
Well, we should have a disclaimer first.
go ahead with the disclaimer.
We are not perfect parents. We haven't even technically raised our children to be adults. So we are not positive that our methods are proven methods yet.
Well, I think, but
So,
isn't that
this is merely things that we are doing or have done that have worked out so far or maybe haven't worked out. So we are not perfect, and neither are our children. So
no?
we do not think we have it all figured out at all.
Well, I think for our audience who doesn't know, obviously we're in ministry together. So I'm a pastor, and you serve on the pastoral team with our church. You're one of the executives at the church, but
I'm the pastor's wife.
that's not. Yes, you are the pastor's wife, but you do way.
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
It's a pastor's wife joke.
Is it? Okay.
For all pastor's wives who work, it's just kind of funny. Like, what do you do as the pastor's wife? I wife. That's all I do.
Yeah. Important things. Actually, you do a lot behind the scenes for me. But one of the challenges is sometimes pastors' kids are
They're held to a different standard.
they're unfairly judged, and it's like they're still kids, and they're still going to make mistakes, and they're still, young, and just like any other kid that aren't perfect. But in parenting, one of the things that we had to figure out is how do we parent as a team? And sometimes there can be conflict, and sometimes even disagreement on like, man, how do we handle this? And
Well, I think going back to when you first become parents, right? You've never done it before, and you've never parented together. And even if you have, maybe a child from a previous relationship or whatever, you've never parented together. And so not only are you tired and you're adjusting to this new schedule of, a baby waking up all the time or whatever. Maybe you've never been around babies, so you're trying to just figure that out. Like, what do I do with this thing? I think one of the hardest and most common things is just the disorientation of becoming a parent and losing the us.
yeah,
So like we were husband and wife, and now we are mom and dad, and we don't lose the husband and wife aspect, but there's this added element that causes stress and is just another factor that we always have to be mindful of. And so it's just disorienting.
But I think it's important to give people hope in this idea of, man, if you guys are a couple and you've been brought together, you can view that as a opportunity for friction,
Sure.
or you can view that as an opportunity to actually help one another and be a really good team, because there's things that you're great at that maybe I'm not the greatest, and there's things that I'm good at that you're not, and we complement one another. And I think for a lot of parents, especially new parents, it's because your spouse doesn't parent the way you think parenting should happen. It's like the assumption is they're not a good parent. And it's like, well, that's not totally true. And you're making an assumption that your way is the best way, typically based on how you were raised, right? I was raised this way, and so therefore we need to raise our kids like this. Or you have a complete different departure where I was raised this and I hated the way my parents raised me. So now I'm going to go in the complete opposite.
Totally different.
And we're going to basically run a science experiment on our kids with the theory that I'm going to raise my kids completely different than my parents. And I think the first kind of challenge for us was you stayed at home with Ella, our firstborn, and I would go to work and I'd come home. And one time I put my foot in my mouth and I came home and I was just like, what have you been doing all day? Because.
And so I did what any woman would do. And I wrote out minute by minute the next day what I did all day.
Yeah.
You didn't like that. You thought that was
passive aggressive. That was definitely.
I don't feel like it's passive aggressive. You asked me a question and I answered. So I told you what I did all day.
Yeah. But you were sending me a signal like, don't ask me that ever again.
I'm saying you can ask me that again and I will give you the same answer. I will write it all out for you if you're curious.
What do you think it was like when we first became parents, what was the hardest thing for you, I think, adjusting to maybe our parenting dynamic? What was hard for you? What did I do that you were like, what is this guy doing? Why?
I think most women we are created with this like maternal instinct, right? And even though I have never been a mom before, there are just certain innate things that I know or are inclined to do that I know are good for the baby or whatever. One of those things was like having the baby on a schedule. I followed a book called Baby Wise, and you hated that. And I hated that you did not follow the schedule that I had laid out for this baby. And I remember one day when we lived in Branson, you were like, a baby doesn't need a schedule, it's a baby. It tells us what it needs. And I'm like, it doesn't tell us what it needs. We are training the baby to sleep, and you hated that.
Yeah, because also Ella was very difficult to get to fall asleep. And I can remember, putting her down for bedtimes and naps and all those types of things. And she would fight it. And so I'd be like, why are we sticking to this schedule that she doesn't even want to follow? And here we are in the bedroom wrestling with this baby, creating so much stress. If it's like we just wait an hour, she'll be tired, and then we put her down. But it was like, no, she has to be in bed by 7:30, and this is what has to happen. And we do the bath, and then we do this. And it was like the same routine every single time. And there were times when you would like go out, you would be out with friends, and I had bedtime routine, and I was like, I'm not doing any of that. And, we would, and the baby would.
Is she our best sleeper?
Best sleeper? I don't know. Is she?
Yes.
She is?
Yes. After that, remember at 7 months, she would not sleep. She would just stare at us. We'd rock her and she'd just stare at us. And then she'd fall asleep and I'd put her in bed and she'd wake up. And my mom came over one night and she was like, you're going to have to let her cry it out. This is a pattern. And she knows you're going to come get her. You're going to have to let her cry it out. She cried for an hour and a half, on and off. And after that, it was great. 7 months old.
Yeah. I remember you sitting outside her bedroom crying because.
It's sad.
Yeah.
I think when they're babies, you think that's it is hard, and it's all relative. It's this is all I've experienced. So this is the hardest thing, parenting together. And then as they get older, you implement rules and boundaries, typically based on how you were raised, you said, or how your parents raised you, or how they didn't raise you. And then there's a different kind of friction whenever you're having to discipline your children and you're like, are we going to spank? Or are we, I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but are we going to spank or not spank? How are we going to discipline? Are we going to do timeout? Are we going to let our kids spend the night at other people's houses and have sleepovers? There's a different kind of friction with some of the more like nap schedule is not that serious when they're 10, you know. They're different struggles and frustrations that you have. And one thing that we always say is, and if you can establish this early on, is that we are a team and we're on the same team. Like, I'm not fighting against you and you're not fighting against me. We're both trying to figure it out together. So what are some things that we value? What are things that we appreciate or we want to instill as our family values, and do them as a team? And there are times now that we have older kids, that things are getting tense, that we have to step back and say, hey, I'm on your team. I'm not against you. I may be doing it differently than how you would do it, but I am on your team.
Yeah. And there's been moments where you've been like, hey, I need you to back me up here. And I'm like, totally cool. I'm here for you. What do you want to happen? But we can't do that in front of the kids.
Right.
We can't wrestle that and have those different opinions. And I think the challenge, especially when it comes to parents, like if you say something to the kids and then the kids come to me and want to ask me something different, I will always go, well, what did your mom say? Well, didn't you ask your mom this? And yes, she did. And I go, okay, well, what'd your mom say? Because that's what we're going to respect, and vice versa. What did dad say? And even in that, there's that unity. Now, I may disagree with that statement, right? I may disagree with like, hey, why'd you tell them no on this? Like, is that really a big deal?
Right.
But we process that
together privately
around our parenting and how we're going to navigate even consequences. I know I come up with some crazy consequences that you've been like, wow.
You have come up with some crazy consequences. And I can be a consequence. I can be like Santa Claus or like Oprah. Oprah's a better example. Like, you get a consequence and you get a consequence and you get a consequence. I love to pass out a good consequence. And like a lot of them at the same time, which is not always good. And so sometimes I have to like, you are going to have a consequence for this. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm going to talk about that later. It's kind of like not spanking your child when you're angry. Like, I need a minute. I don't want to make a consequence that's going to make my life harder, because I've definitely done that. And then I'm like, I have to stick with it. But we talk about those in private. I have put my foot in my mouth before when a child or four have asked me like, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, that's not how I would have done it, but I stand with your dad. And then they've used that against me.
Oh, kids will use anything, because then they'll come to me and they'll go,
Mom agrees with me.
Mom agrees that she wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no, not totally. She said she stood with me, but she wouldn't have done it that way. And that's just the reality. I think when giving consequences, the thing that you have to help parents is this, is I'm not punishing them. A consequence is meant to instruct them. And show them that pain happens after bad decisions. There's consequences and painful situations that happen. And I think what you should do is back away, spend, even if it's a day. Hey, tomorrow we're going to talk about our consequences of what's going to happen. And then one of the things I do is I pray, okay, God, what should we do? And the other thing I do is go, okay, what consequence would best communicate the value that I'm trying to get across to these children about these poor decisions and what that causes.
Give some Bible to disciplining, because I hear a lot of threatening, and threatening does not teach anything. So what's the difference in that versus?
Well, I think if you're threatening, what you're trying to do is create fear in your kids. And it's fear of outcome. You're not actually trying to teach them good behaviors and values. So if you're just dishing out and you're threatening consequences, typically it's out of frustration and anger. You've lost control of your emotions in that moment, and you're just wanting whatever they're doing to stop it.
Yeah.
And so you'll threaten, it creates fear in them. And then not only that, it undermines your authority later because oh, Dad, he'll just threaten. And then finally when he breaks, okay, he'll give me a consequence. And typically he'll realize that consequence was too severe and he'll back off of it in a few days. Mm-hmm. That's been the hard thing for us is whatever consequence we've given, we've had to stick to, and we haven't backed off that, even though I've even had to evaluate my own consequences and going, okay, I've got to stick to it because I told them that. Yeah. But the next time a consequence comes up or an opportunity for instruction comes up, that's where I need to kind of pause and really think through because I don't want to do this again.
And is that consequence the best way to teach them what I'm trying to get them to learn or see? I want to talk about funny consequences in a minute, but one thing that I thought of is also like fear-based disciplining. Mm-hmm. So I in the past and even now, I struggle with parenting my children out of fear of what they will do or what will happen or what I will look like, because you always hear like your kids are a reflection of you, right? And that is true. However, I don't teach my kids to sin. They just are little sinners.
They're humans.
Because they're human beings.
Totally.
And so I'm worried that however they're acting at school or at church or wherever, people are going to judge my parenting. And while that, yes, of course.
Yeah, that's an inevitable outcome.
That's inevitable. I have been too strict or disciplined too harshly for fear of how they will act. Instead of like letting them figure it out at times. There's some things I don't have to control or parent. And I think that's what I struggle with sometimes is like the control, like trying to control them into like the type of people I want them to be. But they are human and they're going to have to learn some things the hard way. And I think the natural consequences are the hardest for me.
Well, you can see.
I'm like, I can see what this is going to cause you later on in life. And if you will just listen to me and do it my way, I'll save you a lot of pain.
That's what I was going to say. You can see where the inevitable outcomes of those behaviors will lead. And even though they don't, you're trying your best to help them connect those dots. And sometimes they just, they don't. So you have to almost allow them to go, okay, go figure it out. And then when you're bitten or you stumble or bad outcomes come, then we can sit and kind of debrief and go, okay, do you understand why that happened?
Okay. Let's talk about funny consequences.
Funny consequences.
Not funny. We do spank in our house, or we have.
But that's not, I think we have to preface that. That's not we never spank out of anger. And
well, that's not true. I have definitely spanked out of anger before. I've had to repent.
Oh.
Are you surprised?
Yeah.
I have repented to my children and to the Lord.
But also there's other...
You've disciplined out of anger. Don't leave me out here on an island by myself.
No, I'm not saying discipline. I've never spanked out of anger. I think I've definitely given consequences out of anger. But again, it's not a one tool. It's thinking creatively, and also intentionally of going, what am I trying to teach these kids? So,
and each kid is different.
Each kid is different.
Spanking did not work with one of our kids because it was like they were threatening to call CPS on us every time. Yeah. So we've had to. That's actually true. We've had to get creative in consequences because we're like, this is not. I can keep spanking, but this is not. We're not getting the outcome that we want. We have a love rod. We don't call it the love rod. It was named that, but and it's kind of like the joke with our kids' friends. I had a parent tell me the other day, like, we tell our son, like, you want us to go to Winston's house and get the love rod? Just funny, but we have done that. We keep it in a little drawer. When I was my kids were younger, I bought the variety pack of spoons with like the short one and the long one. I keep the long one in the car so I could like just reach around and do the little if I needed to, and then kept the short one in my purse so nobody could see it. And then if I needed to pull it out in Target and just give a little pow pow. Yeah. I would do that.
A little help there.
A little help.
One time we had a situation where our kids just were acting ungrateful, little entitled and spoiled. And there was multiple occasions that had led to this moment. So finally, what was it? Was it a month for Winston? I took him to Walmart.
He probably wouldn't even care that you said his name because he like told everybody.
Yeah. I took him to Walmart and I bought him a basic pack of t-shirts and a basic pack of just athletic shorts. Basically, it was like, this is all you're going to wear
To school
for a month. I think my point in that again was going.
There's nothing wrong with Walmart.
Nothing wrong, but it was the same outfit every day. T-shirt, shorts, those shoes, T-shirt, shorts, those shoes. And he was just coming into his own around like, all the boys were wearing like Nike or Adidas or like the, whatever the popular brands are that you can get at Goodwill for like $10 a shirt instead of paying the crazy stuff. Less, $5 a shirt. But again, what it was doing was trying to teach like, hey, we're going to be appreciative for the things we have.
Yeah.
And we're going to take care of our things.
And we're trying to build good character, not good fashion.
We're trying to build good character. We don't care what brand you wear because who you are is not about what you wear. It's about the internals and the character
and
things
it's
in their
more
heart.
important than
probably another fun one was Ella slammed the door and then she had to
shouldn't use our kids' names.
Okay, our oldest daughter,
A child
slammed the door on me. And my whole thing is like, I don't know if like any other dads are out there like this and parents like this. This is my house. I pay for it. And so you don't have like a little kingdom inside my house. Like, so
it's not your room.
It's not your room. I allow you to live in that room, but I pay the electricity. I pay for everything inside of it. And so we had a child slam the door and then they had to leave to go somewhere overnight. When they got home, the door was removed from the hinges and set against the wall. And so, obviously it was like the weeping and gnashing of teeth, like, how dare you? But I was like, listen, that's my door and don't slam it. And trying to get across this idea of, but I think, okay, I'm going to go real high level on this. Okay. I think godly parents should try their best to teach your children about the qualities of the Lord. In the sense that if they don't respect the authority in your home, they will not respect the authority of the Lord later in their life. Because there are moments when parents make decisions for their children that the children don't agree with.
Right.
But if they do not learn to respect and honor authority, then when they're in their adult life and the Lord and in Scripture and as they're following Christ, there's a moment where they and God will disagree. It's kind of one of those things of, do I submit to the authority in my life? And if not, well, that's not going to go well with you, right? You're gonna end up in a gutter, essentially. You might be making a lot of money, but your life will end up in a gutter if you do not honor authority. And not only that, we want to create and cultivate a place where they can share and talk, and where we believe in them and love them, and we tell them those on a regular basis. But the big dynamic is the team stuff, because there's been moments where one of the things you help me with that is massive is because you're around the kids on a more regular basis. And you're right, there is something to the feminine spirit, which is maternal and a caretaker. No matter how much feminism tries to rid that from women, that is still in there. And so because of the frequency you're around the kids, you notice certain patterns. And then you'll also notice certain deficiencies where you'll come to me and you'll go, hey, X and X needs some dad time. And at first I remember looking at that thinking like, are you thinking I'm not being a good enough dad? And getting offended because as if I'm not doing enough. But really that was you just setting me up for success because you're with the kids a little bit more and you see, hey, they need some time. And so that's, again, another team dynamic where you're helping me. Yeah.
Well, I think I used to get offended by the team dynamic because I felt like you were correcting me, like in my parenting, as if I have it all figured out and I've done this before. And I used to get so offended by that. But when you started, I think I would get offended when you would do that in front of the kids. Like, and there was definitely times because I can get heightened. I can be a yeller for sure and lose my marbles very quickly. And I'm getting better.
You are, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And you used to like in front of the kids, you'd be like, hey, you don't have to yell. And it's like,
did I do that?
yes,
Okay.
because, and I needed that. However, you have learned that did not make me stop yelling. That just made me like triggered me even more. And so you would just like go behind the kids and be like,
help me understand why when a man is talking to a woman, why when the man just goes, hey, just calm down a little bit, why y'all don't calm down?
I don't know the science behind it, but for some reason it makes us do the exact opposite.
Yeah, like when I'm just going like, hey, chill.
We've talked about this before, I think. But this used to be a common problem in our marriage.
Yeah, but I would now, if I'm seeing you get heightened, I'll like hand signal you like.
Yeah, but hold on. Pause. Let's go back.
Pause.
Because this is going to help some husbands. When you say, hey, just relax, that does not make us relax. Then after we say, don't tell me to relax, and you say, just chill out, that also does not make us chilled out. So we say, don't tell me to chill out. And then you say, okay, just, it's going to be fine. That does not make it fine. Just that, we don't mean like, don't just say the word relax or don't just say the word chill. We just mean don't say anything like that.
Yeah.
Just let us be not chill for a minute and get all of our crazy out.
So you want me to let.
Not on the kids. I'm saying like
Right.
just in life in general.
You want
You're
me to-
like, calm down.
You want me to let your emotions be out of control.
Okay. That's excessive. There's most of the time, they're not even out of control. I'm just like frustrated about something, which I'm allowed to be.
Totally allowed to be. You could be angry and sin not.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Being frustrated is not a sin, but telling me to relax. that
Okay.
may be.
What's one of the ways I've helped you in your parenting?
So intervening for sure, because
Mm-hmm.
you have the right to do that as the head of our home. And you can say, hey, we're going to table this conversation. Mom and I are going to go talk and we'll talk about this later. I need you to go to your room, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't like belittle my parenting.
Mm-hmm.
But it just calls like a little timeout. You've
Mm-hmm.
also like gone behind the kids and you're like, bring it down, bring it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I'm bring it down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need
Yeah.
to say anymore. I've
Yeah.
said enough. But then also like, I think with any other thing in marriage, communication, like we have to communicate and we have to talk about it. And sometimes they're hard conversations. Sometimes it's like, hey, I think we had one just the other night where it was like, hey, as a mom, and since I'm with them most of the time, I'm seeing these patterns in our kids and I'm seeing you be very lenient on that. And you don't know that all
It's a
day
regular
today,
thing.
it's a regular occurrence. And I've talked to them about it. I need you to step in with the dad authority and squash it. But I think just reminding me, like, you're not trying to correct me. Like if I'm getting out of control or you see something in my, like a blind spot that I have in my parenting, you're not trying to control me or tell me you're doing it better. It's just, hey, let's pause and come together and figure out a solution as a team to be the best parents and to help our kids in the best way that we can.
Yeah, I think it's so important, especially for kids. And this is one thing that I feel naturally just more inclined to, and that is celebrating the good in them more than correcting the bad. If I am correcting the bad more than I'm celebrating the good, then something's out of balance. And I think it's really important for your kids to hear both parents affirm behavior that you want to see repeated. And it's also fun to do as a parent, because when you see your kids making good decisions, being respectful, and behaving in a way that reflects the values that you're trying to create in them, it honestly is even encouraging for you as the parent to have something to celebrate in your kids, because you know, I played a role in that. Versus if I'm constantly on my kids about every like stinking thing, then that just gets like draining for both of us.
Yeah.
Because then it starts to make me feel like, am I just the worst parent in the world? Versus going, no, there's more to celebrate and there's more to affirm and there's more to encourage than there is to correct. And I think
that's the cool thing about God bringing two very different people together, because you and I balance each other out in a lot of ways because we are very different. I am a glass half empty person and you are a glass half full naturally. And so I would be the one, I'm a nagger, and I'll nag and nitpick little things. And most of the time, like I said before, it is based out of fear. Like if I don't correct that, they will become somebody who leaves their socks everywhere they go.
Yeah.
If I don't correct it right now and say, why did you do that again? But instead I could be like, you know, I need to celebrate things, or I just pick the socks up myself, or I just like, hey, just a reminder, your socks are on the floor. We balance each other out a lot, and you help me a lot in that area because I have a tendency to go on the negative side, and it is based out of fear.
But my tendency is to overlook things, like to go, it'll be all right. And then you've noticed that like, no, that needs to be addressed. So let's talk some of the boundaries that maybe parents listening might think we're crazy. But one of the things we do as our home is we do no sleepovers.
At other people's houses.
No sleepovers at other people's houses.
I actually don't even love kids spending the night at my house, if I'm being honest.
Well, and the reason why we do that.
Unless I know their family very, very well.
The reason why we do that is because, again, I look at it like this. I have one shot with my kids. The Lord has asked me to steward and protect them and guard them. And when I send them into another home that I don't have any understanding or context in what goes in on that, plus the stats show that a lot of times or most times kids are exposed to things at sleepovers that you don't want them exposed to. Not only that, all the SA that happens
is usually with people that you know and trust.
Usually know the people that trust, and they're sleeping over. So for us, we just don't do sleepovers.
And that is one. I thought that would be very easy. I went into that very naively, and I think as parents, it's important to understand that's why it's so important to be a team, and understand why you have the rules and boundaries that you do, because it is not easy to keep the boundary line.
It's not.
I thought that there would be more families with the same rules. I don't judge you for not having that rule at all. That's our family rule.
It's our conviction.
It's our conviction. But I thought there would be more, and it has not gotten easier, because our kids are human and they want to spend the night at their friend's house. Just the other night, we had to, we are the parents that pick our kids up at midnight from slumber parties because we don't let them sleep over. We let them stay up late as long as the parents are awake. But we just don't let them. So I thought it would be easier, but it has not gotten easier. And our kids still fight us on that.
Well, boundaries are there. They're going to be pushed, especially when your kids live in a culture where what you're deciding for your family is definitely not the norm. So, for example, we didn't do phones until 8th grade. Again, we were viewed as like backwards and, massively strict.
I had one parent tell me that, don't you think that's just not safe for them to not have a phone? I was like, well, I don't know.
But I think if you would, one great author on this is Jonathan Haidt, and you could look up his stuff, and the research he's got done in phones and social media. And that's the other thing. None of our kids have social media, and
only one of our children has a phone. So.
Right. But our policy is no social media until you're out of our house. Which again, that's another one that's
going to be hard.
That's pushed on and pushed on and pushed on. But my whole thing on that is the data is clear. It's not even like a emotional thing. It's the data is clear, especially in young girls, how much social media is actually detrimental to their image. It's detrimental to their mental health. And one of the things I tell my kids all the time, you guys don't have social media, but yet you have fun, you have friends, you like play sports, you're in activities, you're involved in church. Look how not having social media has totally ruined your life. And there's a lot of parents that naively allow their kids to take their phones to their bedrooms. And our kids have friends that literally tell them they stay up till 2 and 3 in the morning. Some young boys just looking at porn, and some girls just brain rotting on TikTok until 2 in the morning. And it's like, why would you allow
girls also looking at porn?
Girls looking at porn. And it's like, why would you allow this device to have an influence on your kids so early? For us And again, if whatever your convictions are at, but it's just one of those things that are just kind of like, that's just where we draw the line. And I think it's okay if your kids don't like you for that.
Yeah.
Like, my job is not to get my kids to like me all the time.
Right.
Like, I'm not here to be my kid's friend. I'm here to be their father.
To point them to Jesus.
And I'm trying to point them to Christ and helping them develop Christ-like character. So I have boundaries that protect them. And it's like, why would I allow the enemy to just have a portal into my kids' minds, hearts, and spirits that is totally unfiltered? And it's like, that's on me. I'm not letting the wolf in the sheep pen. I get it. I live in the 21st century. At some point, they're going to be exposed to that. But my hope and my prayer, again, like, we don't know. We're still in this. We're still waiting to see the outcome.
It's not a proven method.
It's not a proven method. But my hope would be is that they have enough self-confidence in who they are beyond just the comparison. Comparison is already happening. But why flood your children's minds?
One thing we did, and this is to go back to establishing your own boundaries and the why behind it. I am not a believer in I have to give my kids an answer and a reason for everything I do and say, because I don't get that with the Lord sometimes. He just asks me to follow him.
That's a
and
bar.
I just have to follow him. So that's what I started with my kids very early on. I obey right away in Jesus' name, amen. That was like when they were toddlers. That's what they learned to say. Because obeying may save your life one day. And so for us, so going back to that, I don't think I have to have a reason. However, with some of these issues that I know are going to be an argument forever until they move out of our house, we did research on slumber parties and statistics. We've done a ton of research on phones and pornography and the
Social
age
media.
it starts and social media in general, so that we have backing, and not all just Christian-based backing. This is like the phones and the social media is not from like pastors. It's from like non-believers as well. And so we've done a ton of research, so we have that evidence for our kids. Now, do they look at that and say, oh, that makes sense, I totally trust you now? No, absolutely not. They still argue. But one thing we did was, okay, if you can find research that is proven and write me a 1-page paper on why social media is beneficial for you at your age, then we will consider it.
Yeah.
And no child has done that yet.
No child has done that. But it's also just as simple as like this. Like, especially on my algorithm, there's all the time moments where you're getting OnlyFans clickbait.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would I want my 12-year-old to, and I have all the safe search on. Anytime stuff like that comes on, I hit the 3 dots and go, I don't want to see this. It makes me feel uncomfortable because I don't want that to fill my algorithm. But it's out there, and you're giving that to a 12-year-old boy who does not have the framework, the strength, or the understanding.
But is curious.
And is curious, and it's totally normal. Hormones are flooding his body. And it's like, and my son, he even talks about it now with some of the boys at school, and he calls them gooners. And that's like a sarcastic slang term for guys and gals that literally consume hours and hours of porn. Hours of porn. That's all they do is stay up late at night and just watching porn. And again, you're allowing your children. And so for me, again, my job is I am the father, I'm the protector, I'm the guard. And if one day my kids come back and tell me I was too strict, right? And I'm like, hey, here's what I was doing. I loved you so much that I just did not want anything harmful to come into your life. Okay, we're going to cut it off there. If you want more on parenting, leave us a comment, questions. We would love to discuss things. If you disagree with us, let us know. If you agree with us.
Can I say something? This might be clickbaity, but I haven't told him about the comment. Have you told him about the comment yet? So after our emotional intelligence, our emotional something, intimacy. Somebody commented on TikTok that she's just not physically attracted to you, and that's why.
Yeah, I guess I'm just ugly. Hey, like, comment, subscribe. Go in the name of Jesus, and we love you.